Hi guys, I'm Danny, and I started a Sunday gym because I've noticed lately that people tend to go to colleges and universities without actually knowing why they're there. And afterwards, starting jobs that are unfulfilling. So I'm interviewing different professionals to see what they have to say and share their knowledge and experience with you. I hope you enjoy it. Hello, Bill. Thanks for being with me. How are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful, Danny. Excited to be here. Appreciate the opportunity to visit.
Oh, I appreciate you being here. It's quite a resume that you have, and I really loved it. And it's amazing. And the program will be focused on three main questions. What do you do for a living? How did you get there? How did you knew
It,
that this was the way to go? So that's what you
oh,
please.
those are great questions, and it's funny because do you ever really know what's the right way to go, right? I mean, it's like
No, no, you don't.
you don't, you try to figure out what's the best thing to do. And I kind of stumbled into this recruiting kind of field and executive recruiting, had no idea anything about it at all. I was a IT contractor for some time and kind of understood a little bit, but I really didn't understand the fundamentals. And a neighbor of ours worked for a large Fortune 500 called Robert Half International, introduced me to the business. They were looking for an IT person to do sales. I was an IT person, but I wasn't in sales. But he said, "Hey, you would be great at this." And so I thought, "Oh, why not? Let's try it." And so I did, and boy, I just fell into it. And 25 years later, it's just been such a blessing because it obviously was a calling and something that I really thoroughly enjoyed and have enjoyed ever since.
It is amazing. 25 years is quite a long time. My most of my viewers aren't even that old, so that's gonna be pretty useful. It's gonna be pretty good.
Well, we may talk about some old hardware and tools that we used back in the day. So it's funny, you talk about even old things like that, and people go, "You had a what?" And you're like, "Yeah, it was called a fax machine." You're like, "Yeah,
Oh
there was a
yeah.
machine?" And you're like, "Yeah, there was a machine."
I love Star Wars. I'm a second generation Star Wars fan, and most of my friends are like that.
Yeah.
I was here at my home with a friend of mine, and I was gonna say accidentally, but Star Wars is never accidentally with us. So we were joking about Star Wars, and he said, "You know what? That scene was actually changed." And I said, "No, it isn't," because I know what he was saying. No, it was. I said, "I have the originals right here." And
Yeah.
I plan for you right now. Yeah, okay, let's do it. And it's been over 12 years since last time I actually had a DVD player in my home. I don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
And I was just holding it like, so I guess you can just, should take my word for it because, I know more about this than you. So no, yeah, things are
It's
changing.
No, it's funny because I remember actually going as a kid to see Star Wars when it came out. And I remember that we had to wait like 2 weeks to get tickets to go to the movie theater. It was a big deal because it
Yeah.
was the Dolby sound was the first time that you had that. It was just incredible. And you look at the technology and the way it's changed since then to today. Like I said, the fax machine. I tell the story of the fax machines, and when we started the company, we had three of them lined up, and they would run nonstop. And on the weekends, we before we would leave on Friday, we would load them up with paper and make sure they were totally full of paper and toner. And actually, at the time, it was like a carbon paper that ran through it. And we thought we were really advanced, right? This was like
Yeah.
the top of the line stuff because it printed each page, not a long strip. And we'd come in on Monday and we would have paper everywhere because they would run all weekend long and print and run out of paper. And when it ran out of the first machine, it'd flip to the second machine and to the third machine. And I just look back and I think, my gosh, what we have become today that we flip a switch and it's in a applicant tracking system. And I've got 2 million resumes sitting there that I can look at with two hits of a button and boom, it pulls up people. And it's just mind-boggling where it's gone.
It is. Honestly, it's making us not very good. Not good people. There was a power outage here in Europe last week or the week before. I don't remember because it was for 15, 20 minutes, something.
Right.
And my oven is set to start, when I started from my phone. But because of the power outage, it restarted. So it was showing like it was midnight here. And I was in the bus, I was coming from work, and I was a bit angry. I was like, this is ridiculous. This, what kind of life am I living? And for a split second, I was like, what's wrong with me? Seriously, I'm being angry here because my oven doesn't start automatically. I was ashamed of myself, Bill. I really was. It's wrong, just wrong, man.
Well, it's interesting because I actually feel like the technology makes us better. And it makes us better as humans because when you look back over the chain, like I remember my father bringing home the first microwave to the family, right? And I'm the oldest of four kids, and we were all young, and I remember there was this huge box. I mean, this
Yeah.
just, it was massive. And it brought it in, put it in the kitchen, and there were all these rules about couldn't put aluminum in it, you can't do this, can't do that. And I remember our father saying, in 4 years, we won't be going out anymore to dinners because you won't have chefs and you won't have restaurants. And I look back and I think, no, what we ended up with was a better operation and fewer people having to manually do things. So instead of having, six cooks behind the counter at the grill cooking, Denny's had six microwaves and they were able to only have to pay two people now. And so it actually allowed us to do things in a better fashion, but it did make us think about how to do things better also. So, right now we're in the middle of this AI,
Yeah.
I don't know what revolution, whatever you want to call this thing. And there's so many people that are worried and scared that it's going to take away their job. It's no different than the microwave. It's no different than having online news that, yeah, I understand. I mean, I was a paper boy growing up. We'd get up in the mornings, we would deliver the newspaper to homes. Every day the newspaper came, that's how we got our news. It's not like that. Now we have it on our
Phone and
phone,
everything.
that it's right here, and what this thing can do compared to what 20 years ago, 30 years ago it would do. It's just mind-boggling. And when you start thinking about the AI, there's so many great advances that it's going to do
Oh
for
yeah.
us, just medicine wise. I mean, but for what we do, that's one of the areas with recruiting and the human development, human capital, as they call it, that there's been all of this concern. And you know what? It's interesting. I was on a call a couple weeks ago, and they were looking at productivity of a recruiter from 20 years ago. And that recruiter
That's
20 years
interesting.
ago, working their desk, functionally operated at, X level. Fast forward, that recruiter today operates at that same exact level. All of the enhancements of technology didn't change the way that they do their job and have results at the end of the day. It just made it a little easier for them. It just made a little bit of the noise maybe step aside, or in some cases, it actually made their job more difficult because technology, it's like the purple, it's like a squirrel running and you're chasing and you're like, oh, look at this shiny new object that's here. Everybody wants to touch it. We want to try it. Technology used to roll out every 18, 24 months. I mean, iPhones used to come out, once every year and a half, 2 years. Now it's like every 6 months there's a new version. So when you start thinking about the technology changes, it's like we can't even get ahead. I used to always think we just need to stay a step ahead. Our company in particular, we're very technology driven to become very efficient. There was a lapse for about 2 years. We couldn't get ahead technology wise. It just wasn't possible because as soon as we would adapt to something, it was already old and we needed something new. And then because of open APIs and this incredible opportunity to develop new tools, you had so many different pieces of this, and this. They weren't consolidated yet into like one product that could do everything you want it to do. And I think right now that's kind of where we're at. We're in this game area where it's bringing it all in together, and yet all of us want to see what's coming next. You read these articles about everybody having a robot and the actual, my gosh, you look at some of these videos of these robots that they've created, they're
Yeah.
scary. I mean, it's like really futuristic, and it's like, no, wait, it's happening. It's right now. So even your oven. When did you think you'd ever be able to talk to your oven? I laugh every time I think we talk to our washer and dryer. I'm like, seriously, has it really come to that we have to have this thing that I can turn it on, turn it off? But
And
then,
to
but
be
then you
angry
don't
when it's not
realize.
talking to you back.
Yeah, I mean, but you don't realize that ability. You were talking about the outages, and I'm in Dallas, Texas, and so we're known for it being really hot, steamy summers year round. And a few years ago, we had a horrible snowstorm here, and I mean, I think all across the world heard about it because we lost power for like a week. It was snow Armageddon. We had zero power. It was horrible. Hundreds of people died. It was an
Whoa.
ice and snowstorm with sub-zero temperatures. Okay. We didn't have any power. So for us in technology, having it on my app to be able to open my garage door to get into my house. So open my garage door through my app. It's all on Wi-Fi, opens the door, walk in, punch in the code to my door. And now I have a code, but at the time it was a key. Uh, the problem is we kept the key in the garage. So the power goes out. My key is locked in the garage, and my front door key, I don't have a front door key. It's the same one that I use in the garage, and it's locked in my garage. I can't get into my garage to get into the house. So it's like, wait, oh, I didn't even think about this. And you don't
Yeah.
realize how just you rely on that technology so much that you have to have backups, even as individuals, just like companies have to have a backup. You got to do almost the same thing and have redundancy because now we're so dependent on
Yeah.
it every day.
That's what I actually, thank you. That was the word I was looking for. We are dependent. Not that technology is not a bad thing, obviously. I mean, everybody's using it and he's making our lives better. And I love what you said about AI. I had a conversation on the channel here a few days ago, I think it was. And that's exactly what I said. AI is nothing but a tool.
Right.
It's going to be used and it is used as a tool. And if that replaces your job, then you will have to find a new one. But this has been a reality since the Industrial Revolution. What would you
Yep.
have been doing 300 years ago? Probably the same thing your father was doing, and your grandfather and his father before him. That's how society was back then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
except for the rules.
even back then, they created tools to make it more
Yeah.
efficient to plow
Yeah.
the field,
No,
right?
I
And
mean,
so
it
think
wasn't as
about it.
dynamic as it is today. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
have
no, it's
often given that example. You know those iconic red boots in London, right?
right.
And from what I heard, when they were installed, the syndicate, the male syndicate, destroyed most of them because they were afraid that they would lose their jobs. Bill, I've never been in England, but I'm pretty sure right now if I go there, I can get a job as a mailman. So yeah, you things are changing, but we are the dominant species not because we are strong or we have, claws and teeth. It's because we can adapt.
Right.
And we have been adapting. And I am honestly not worried about AI whatsoever. I love how you said about what you said about, the human capital, because that's very important. That's pretty much the big reason, one of the main reasons excuse me, why I started this channel. And at first I was told it was a local issue, then I thought it was just for Europe, and turns out it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And people are going to, and I'm not against institutions like colleges and universities. I have a master's degree. I was about to start PhD at some point, so I'm not against them. I'm just highlighting the fact that a lot of time, a lot young people, they're not exactly kids, but they're pretty young, fairly young. They tend to go to those colleges, universities, just because they have that stigma. And once you have that piece of paper, your life will be significantly easier. And a lot of time, that's simply not true. Countless examples of that. You said you're from Texas. I have never been to the United States, but I heard that things in the United States are a bit even more troublesome in that regard because here in Europe, well, for most of the universities and colleges, the huge majority of them are either free or next to free. We
Right.
have a few crazy expensive of those, but from what I know in the United States, a student can rarely afford to cover the whole semester and everything with the job of a bartender. Like I was a bartender when I was in a private college, and I was paying the whole thing without any problems. And once you're out there, you have a piece of paper that it's not exactly for you. You start a job related to that because it's much easier. This definitely isn't for you. That creates a lot of issues and a lot of troubles. Now you can, fake it for a while, but you can't fake it forever. And those are issues they're not going away.
No,
So
and it's really interesting because if you look at and think about and because we deal with that with clients
yeah,
and companies that are hiring that want to look at that educational piece. And if you look over the years, if you go back even to like the 70s, 80s, and you think about the educational system in the United States and you think about college, and we were the leader in the world pretty much,
I mean, you
this.
still are.
Yeah, well, and it's now questionable, right? Because, and this is where that AI thing kind of comes into play, and a lot of the technology does as well. So you think about stuff like when I went to school, they taught us how to, read, write, and math.
Oh
Those are
yeah,
important,
that's
right?
who's for.
Okay,
Yeah.
so try to ask a kid today to actually write a letter with a pen. Good luck, right? A
They're not
lot of
gonna do it in curves, but they will do it.
Yeah. Or be and did they took typing out of schools? Well, geez, typing you would think would be the most important thing, but I watched some of these like peck away, but give them the iPhone, and man, they're all over that. They
No,
got it,
they're pretty good with
right?
keyboards too, so that's kind of typing too.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it changes so much, but also the rest of the world recognized the importance of education and started investing in that from a government standpoint. Instead of just sending the kids to the U.S. to get the education, they started putting money back in to helping their educational side and understood by educating people. You've got, I mean, everybody, it's not for everybody, but you need to educate a
Fair.
larger portion, and it raises the bar on the standards of life and the reality of the industry, production, GDP of a country, all these different parts of it. And
Yeah.
what happened in the US is that we got lazy.
The
It's
whole
not
world
something
got
anybody
lazy.
wants to talk about, but that's the truth, is that we got lazy. The entrepreneurial spirit of what this country was built around has diminished. And there are few of us that do this because of all of the roadblocks that are in place. Like our government doesn't necessarily want us to have small business, for example, even though 80% of the people in this country are employed through a small business. And that's the lifeline of this country. Now, some people understand it, and some push for that, but it's not the same as it was before. What we want to do is be rich because we're on TikTok doing a viral video of a cat or something, right? Or
No,
YouTube or
that's
whatever
not
it may be.
serious. I agree with you on that one.
Yeah. And
Um,
it's just changed so much looking at the way of the idea. But I will say the one thing that we got away in this country in particular was the family value that we
yeah,
had, and it's going back to that. And so there is something to be said about that. There is a movement, and it's been going on for some time about the family movement and these kids today, these 18 to 24-year-olds,
yeah,
they really have a different idea about things. They really do. They've watched their parents, what they went through, their grandparents. They don't like that.
yeah.
They don't like that feeling of the way we're held in the world still. And there's just a lot of divide, obviously here. And so that human capital here and employment and what's taking place to put people back to work, there just isn't this large workforce anymore. It's really a weird anomaly that's taking place. You've got either
You know,
highly educated,
can you highlight
non-educated.
that a little bit? Because granted, there are about 500 million people in the European Union. So it's not like we don't have workforce, but there are about 330 million in the United States. So what do you mean you don't have workforce? 330 million is a lot of number, Bill. That's a
Yeah, no, it's
big
it's a
number.
big number, but what you have, we used to have what we called a pool or a
Yeah,
lake
okay.
of candidates, people looking for work, right?
Yeah,
Underemployed or not employed. And
okay.
what's happened, obviously during COVID, COVID, we went to like 13% unemployment. Okay.
That was a long time ago. COVID ended years ago.
There's still people that think we're in COVID. I'm just going to tell you. And they're like, oh, I can't go to an office. I mean, I
How
can't.
does that work?
I don't
Is
know.
it serious?
We don't know. I don't know. I mean, if you want to wear a mask, I have no issue with that,
Yeah,
right? Because you're
no,
not,
absolutely.
no
But
problem. But because you don't want to go to an office because you don't want to get sick.
you don't want to
I,
go to office because you're lazy.
yeah, I don't understand. I mean, but
Okay, fine. No, I
look,
understand that, but you're talking about a few people here and there. I'm talking again 330 million people. That's a lot. That's twice the population of Russia,
right.
to put it in that kind of
Yeah.
perspective. This is why I never really took, I shouldn't say seriously, but I am not really worried, let's say, about the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Because if you believe what they're saying, 500 million people in Europe are asking 300 million people in the United States to protect them from 150 million people in Russia.
Yeah.
Uh, we talked about math before and studying it in school. Oh, I've done that. So
Yeah.
it no,
It doesn't add up,
of
right?
course it doesn't. So
And that's the
back
thing.
to my
Yep.
point,
That's the
330
thing.
million people, that's a huge number. You
Yeah.
have a few lazies here and there. We all have them. But that's a huge number. So
Yeah.
I mean the pool is not the same.
Yeah. So the numbers are the problem, right? So the numbers don't add up. And that you hit it right on the head. So we listened for a year and a half about how all these jobs were being created here. And there's all, I mean, every month, it was month after month after month.
That's
And
a
and
good thing.
I have been a contributor to the Federal Reserve Beige Book for like 17 years. So every 6 weeks I do a phone call with the Federal Reserve, the Dallas Federal Reserve, tell them in our footprint what's going on, and I contribute so they get the knowledge from the ground. I've been telling like the numbers don't add up. They're not this number of jobs being created. It's not true. It's skewed. And so what they talk about and the number of creation, we found out later, wasn't correct. Well, they're adding people that were here that they gave illegals, basically. Well,
Okay.
that can't be counted in the same. I mean, that's not true. We don't know if they're going to be here. It's not the same level. And so then you have people that feel like, hey, I can't do that job. I'm above this. I'm above that. And people don't understand. Like I always said, I'd go do whatever I had to do to take care of my family. And I still
Yeah, exactly.
I'll flip burgers, I'll serve coffee, I'll wash dishes, I'll clean sewers.
Yeah.
If I got to take care of my family, I'm going to do whatever I need to do. But there's been a level in this country of that feeling like, well, I'm not going to do that. And because you have a workforce that has shrunk, our workforce is shrinking as we're aging here. And we haven't been refilling the pool with the
Okay.
workforce at that same level. You start to feel like you are above that and you won't do it. So the retirement age, for example, in our country, it's too low. It's 64, 65. It's just too low. I would love to retire at 65. Everybody here would love to retire at 65. But you tell me why my mother-in-law at 70 is still working full time because they have to. And so there's opportunity for people as well, but it's also different generations where it's embedded into us that we don't show up late and leave early. Our DNA in certain age groups, because of what our parents did or instilled in us, is a different level of dedication to what we do. I understand. We got to have work-life balance. You got to kumbaya. Everybody's got to have their special feeling and everything else. You can't make everybody happy. And what we've tried to do is make everybody happy and try to do things in the right way.
When you
Over the
make
last,
everybody happy, you end up with everybody hating you.
that's exactly it. And over the last 4 years, a receptionist in a corporate office who made 11 US dollars an hour today demands 22 to $23 per hour. Now, I'm not saying that they weren't underpaid. I'm saying that's what the market was driving, and we are a free enterprise country built around supply and demand. That's how it should be. And when we start altering and changing things with human capital based on what we want or an institution wants to see happen, it muddies up everything that the forefathers built around the philosophy of this country. And
That's
that's what's
fair.
bothersome is that we have to semi go back. How do we go back to those realities?
Oh, I can
Not,
tell you that, and this is what I actually was going to include. I'm going to have to respectfully challenge you on this one because no, yeah, you can feel like this is beneath you and you can do it for as long as you can afford it. When you cannot afford it, you will do it like that. Those people who have just never been in a situation in their entire life where that's I cannot afford it thing. No safety net to put it like that, because I was about to say
yeah,
something a bit earlier. So when you're in that situation where you don't have a safety net, like I have bank loans, right? Granted, I own property, I'm renting most of it, so I always have additional income. Let's say I don't.
right.
I also work in an office. The office closes tomorrow. My father told me many years ago, study what you want, do what you want. It's entirely up to you, but I want you to have a profession that will bring you income even if there's no electricity.
Yep.
And that's why I became a bartender. I'm not saying you don't have to be a rocket scientist to be a bartender. You have to smile, you have to show interest in what your client has to say, you have to be funny and so on and so forth. It's not difficult.
Yeah.
But in all fairness, it's not for everybody. And I'm not insulting people. I'm just highlighting. So again, yeah, they may think it's beneath them, but that's only because they have never been in that situation where you really don't have any other option.
Right.
When you're in that other option, oh, you're gonna do it and you'll be happy.
Yeah. And that's just it. When you make it too easy, then people take advantage of it. And and
Starvation.
unfortunately, uh, that's what happens a lot. I'm not saying it happens all the time, but you end up with only 61% of workforce, participation. And so you don't have everybody in the workforce.
Where's
And
the other
or
40%?
yeah, well, they're not working, right? So when you look at, and they're not interested in working,
Yeah,
or
I'm not interested in working either, but I've been working 2 or 3 jobs for the
yeah,
last 14 years. I am
yeah.
really not interested. I
Listen,
just, like having a home and food
yeah,
and yeah.
I know. That's just it. I mean, I'm going to turn 60 this year, and my
You
first
look great.
job that I started working, getting a paycheck, I was 11 years old. Okay, I'm tired, but there's nothing in my future that says I'm going to quit doing what I'm doing in the next 10 years.
Yeah.
That's just part of it. I just don't know that I mean,
No, that's
you're
not
gonna
even a
have.
serious argument. Like they don't feel like working.
I mean, they just don't. I mean, people. We had an offer this week to someone. The position paid 150,000 a year salary. Great position. They haven't been working in 6 months because their company shut down. They took off 6 months, traveled, spent time with the family. That's great. All right, now we just got you a $150,000 a year position. It's going to pay 20,000 more than you were making before. Plus bonuses, your total comp going to be around 200,000 a year. Single person, plenty of extra time off. It's a dream job.
Yeah, sounds good. He
The
didn't
day
pay.
they were supposed to start the new role, they said via text, couldn't even pick up the phone. I've decided that I just want to take a few more months off. I'll find something else. I'm not worried.
Man, that's
I
actually a
mean,
good thing. It's ridiculously stupid, but that's a good thing because you don't need those kind of people
no,
around you.
no.
I had a
It just
similar
it just
situation.
happens, you know?
You know, I don't know. I hope, maybe because, sometimes out of pride, I do something similar when I have health-related issues. But I had a serious one this year with my right eye, and I don't want people to know that. So I'm always, acting a little bit like a jackass, so that people be like, this guy, whatever, and they forget about me because it's out of pride. I hope this is not the case because this is a horrible thing. But even if it is or it isn't, be glad that that person is with that kind of mentality is not around you. Bill, I have a fourth question. I never
Sure.
put it in the invitation because I love the reaction.
Uh-oh, I'm
And
scared.
now you're exactly the guy who should talk a lot about it.
All right.
If you can give my audience one advice, just one, my audience, people who are sitting here, is this university for me? Is this position for me? Is this job for me? Even the whole city, is this my place? If you can give those people one advice, what will it be?
Be happy. There's nothing more important with the thought of being happy. And money doesn't necessarily make you happy.
Oh, no, I know a
Um,
lot of miserable rich people.
I do too. Uh, and actually, I've been very rich and I've been very poor. And at the end of the day, what are those things that just make you happy? And when you go through life, we start our life with goals and ideas and thoughts and what we want to do, and you go through the different stages. And it's interesting because you do that as a person, and if you're an entrepreneur and you do it as a company, or you do it through your career, we have a trademark. I trademarked a philosophy called people, process, and service. And the whole idea, I built the company around that. That hire the best people, have the best process, give the best service, and it's worked. But what was interesting, what came out of it, was that it's actually the way we live our lives. That you surround yourself with people that come and go throughout your life, people that are positive for you and then sometimes toxic and they need to go away. You have a process that you live your life. You have maybe a routine, the way you get up, maybe the way, if you have a family, the way you raised your family, your career. All of that is a process of the way that you go through your life as you grow. And then there's a service piece to it. And the service isn't always about what you're giving back to the community, to your religion, to your family, but it also has to do with just the service of what you're doing when you look at the career, the family. All of that piece of service is in so many different ways means so many different things to people. But when you wrap it all together, it's about being happy. And so when you're looking to make that career change, is this going to make you happy? We ask the why question, which kind of plays into this as well. And I use that for almost everything. Why am I doing this? Why should I do this? Why is this going to make it different? Why is just an incredible three-letter word that we don't utilize enough in our vocabulary because it dictates that happiness. Why is that going to make you happy? Don't do things that aren't going to make you happy at the end of the day. God only gives us so much time on this earth, and it can be gone in a split second. And you need to enjoy every moment of it because I just actually had two very close friends lose their fathers in the last week. Sudden, random. And you don't realize until they're gone and you look and go, am I happy with my life? But that's the best word of advice that I give to people. That is not too deep and it's, I think, relatively simple at the end of the day.
It's amazing. I told you you were the best guy to talk about. Uh, and I love what you said about the company, the structure and everything. So, I should have you for episode two because you have a lot of things to say about it, and we're running out of time now.
Yeah.
And with that said, Bill, it was an absolute honor to have you with me. And send me everything for the company and for everything else so that I can put in the description of the video.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it, Denny. And everybody, they can find us on LinkedIn, get to our
Yeah,
profile page, and best way communicate, reach out, tell me you saw me on here with Denny, and definitely reach out. And I appreciate the opportunity very
I
much.
will definitely tag you when I upload it.
Sounds great.
Right on. Guys, I hope this one was useful. Please follow the channel on YouTube, Rumble, Twitter, Gap, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Ring the bell and all the good stuff. Have a nice week ahead, and I'll see you next Sunday.